The first answer was E. B, the following, which of the following is a prime number, is A as well. Okay. Soraya, tell me for number three, what was the answer for number three?
B, $512.
$512. Anybody else got $512?
Yes, miss.
Yeah.
Yes,
How did you
yes.
do it? Soraya, how did you do it?
So
Did you find?
I found I found the discount and then I minus the
Yeah.
discount from 640.
Right. So when you did 20% of 640, how much is that? 128?
Yes, miss.
Right. And then you said 640 take away 128 will give you 512, yeah? So that's one way to do
Yes.
it. Another way to do it, guys, is if the discount is 20%, then that means the selling price, sorry, would be 80% of the original cost, right? So if you get a discount, then the selling price will be the percentage of the original price would be 100 minus that discount. So 100 minus 20 is 80. So the selling price would be 80%. So you could have also found 80% of 640, and you'll see that that gives you 512 as well. So just to make sure, 80% of 640 is 512. Okay. Um, Zane, did you get an answer for number four?
Yes, I never do this in school.
Okay. Um, so anybody tried it? Number four. Which of these expressions is equal to 12x?
Miss, is it C?
Nah, it's not C. So let's go through each of them one by one, right? Now, A, 4x plus 4x minus 4x, well, that would be equal to 0, right? Because 4x plus, no, not 0. It'll be equal to 4x because 4x plus 4x is 8x, and 8x take away 4x would be 4x. Sorry, I don't know why I put 0 there. It should be 4x. So that is not equal to 12x, right? Now, 24x divided by 2, 24x divided by 2, you'll say 2 into 2, 1, and 2 into 24 is 12. So then you'll have 12x over 1, which is 12x. So the answer is actually 24x divided by 2, right? But just to show you why the other ones are not correct, well, 3x times 4x, because that's what brackets means. 3x bracket 4x literally means 3x multiplied by 4x. So that would be 3 times 4, which is 12, and x times x, which is x squared. So 3x by 4x will be 12x squared. Now, Soraya, if it was 3x times 4, then that would be 12x because 3x times 4, 4 times 3 is 12, well, and then it will be 12x. And 15x minus 3 cannot be simplified any further because you cannot subtract a constant from a variable. 15x is a variable, well, 15x is a term in x and 3 is a constant. So you could only, in algebra, you could only add or subtract like terms. You can multiply and divide unlike terms, but for addition and subtraction, you could only add or subtract. You could only, sorry, for addition and subtraction, you could only use like terms. All right. Um, let's see. Number five, which expression is a factor of ax minus ay? Anybody knows this one? Which of them is a factor?
Is it A? This one A.
Yeah, it's A. The answer is A. The reason is that A can go into both AX and AY. So you'll say A into AX minus AY, right? Um, sorry, I wrote that wrong. If you have to factorize AX minus AY, you would take out A because A is common to both of them, and A into AX is X, and A into AY is Y. So this will be the factorization. A factor is a number or a term that could go into another factor without leaving a remainder. So with AX and AY, the common factor there is A, since both of them have A in them, right? I don't think you all have done this kind of factorization before. So this will you'll probably learn how to do this one in, yeah, you'll probably learn how to do this one in second term. So I'm gonna skip that one for the while. Because y'all didn't do anything with quadratics as yet. So let's move straight on to question 7. The scores obtained in a spelling competition are 5, 8, 8, 6, 8, 9, 4, 4, 7, 9, 9, 7, and 8. What is the mean score? How do you calculate mean, guys?
Add everything and then divide it by the number of numbers.
Right. That's right. So work it out for me. You add up everything and then you divide by the number of numbers that you added up. So let's see how many numbers we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 13 numbers. So 5 plus 8 plus 8 plus 6 plus 8 plus 9 plus 4 plus 4 plus 7 plus 9 plus 9 plus 7 plus 8. I forgot the last 8. Interestingly, I'm not getting any one of the answers. Anybody else?
Yes, I got 108. 108.
108 for the just the sum or the mean itself?
Well, I got 7.2, and I've divide 108 over 15.
But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 numbers. So when
Oh,
you
whoops.
add up all of these, you're supposed to divide by 13.
Oh, whoops. But I got 108 for the sum. I'm not sure.
For the sum, I got 92. Anybody else got 92 as the sum? Let's check.
Yes, miss.
Yeah, 5 plus 8 plus 8 plus 6 plus 8 plus 9 plus 4 plus 4 plus 7 plus 9 plus 9 plus 7 plus 8. Yeah, I got 92 as the sum. Sarai, you got 92?
Yes, miss. I show up as 92 when I added it.
Yeah. Anybody else got 92 as the sum?
And I
Matthias,
got,
what you got as the sum? What you got? Sophia, you got 92 as the sum?
yeah, I think I made a mistake somewhere.
Okay. What about you, Matthias? Did you get 92 as the sum?
Yeah, miss.
Okay. And then 92 divided by 13 is actually 7.07 or 7.1 because it's 7.0769. So I guess if you round it off to the nearest whole number, because all of these are whole numbers, it'll just be 7. It has to be A, right? Even though they didn't say to round it off, that's the only thing that makes sense because the answer is approximately 7. All right, let's look at number 8. The table shows the distribution of grades of 40 students in politics class. Passing grades are A, B, and C. What percent of students failed the course? So the passing grades are A, B, and C. So which grades will mean a fail then?
D and E.
Correct. D and E. Those students who got got D and E, which is 8 and 7 respectively. Those are the students who would have failed the course, and they want us to find out what percent of the students failed. Give it a shot and tell me what you have as the answer.
Miss, is it C?
Yeah, it is C. Anybody else got C? Safira, tell us how you did it.
I took the numbers of failed students and add them. I have a 15, and well, total of students is 40. And I took 15 over 14, multiplied it by 100, and I got the answer.
Correct. All right. So if you're finding out the number of students who failed, if you want to find the percent of the students who failed, you would first need to find out what's the total or what's the sum of the students who failed, which would be the ones who got D's and E's, since those are the failing grades, and that would be 8 plus 7, which gives you 15. So that means 15 students failed. And if you want to find out what percent of the class that represents, you would put 15, which is the number of students who failed, over the total number of students, which is 40. And then you multiply that by 100 over 1. And that gives you 37.5 or 37.5%. Very good. Faith, happy birthday. Happy birthday, honey. I hope you had a good day and you continue to have a good day.
Thank
God
you.
bless. May God bless you to see many more, my love.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Faith, today I was going to continue with completing the square, but because end of term exams will probably be in 2 weeks, I decided to just do a general paper. Because some of your questions on your paper, I believe, would be multiple choice, and it would be questions like this. This is actually taken from some of these questions are past CSET questions, and some of them are past NCSE exam questions. NCSE exam was the exam that we used to have to take at the end of Form 3 many years ago. Right. So let's look at number 9. This kind of reminds me of SCA questions, actually. All right. So George has scores of 70, 75, and 80 on 3 mathematics tests. What score must he obtain on the next test to have a mean score of exactly 80 on the 4 tests? So his scores in the 3 tests are 75, 70, and 80. And he wants to increase his means, or he wants to have a mean score, I should say. He wants to have a mean score of exactly 80 on the 4 tests. And we are required to find what score he needs in that other test. So that would be the 4th test. What score he would need to get in order to get an average of 80. Take a few minutes, think about it a little bit, and see if you could solve it. We are required to find the score that he must obtain on the next test or on the 4th test in order to have a mean or average of 80.
Miss, I got it.
You got it? What is it?
A. 75.
A, 75. I feel it might have to be more. I'm not sure that A is correct. You know why? Because his scores right now are 70, 75, and 80, right? So the average of those, I don't think it would be 80. It would be um would have to get a score that is above 75 or maybe even above 80 in order to get an average of 80. Because if he gets a fourth score of 75, his scores will be 70, 75, 80, and 75. And I think that is going to bring down his average closer to the 70s than to the 80, right? But mathematically, let me tell you what you would have had to do. Anybody got a different answer, by the way? Any of you got a different answer for this question? Not A?
No, miss. I got A.
Okay. What did you get? Oh, Zane, you said you got it?
Yes, miss.
Oh, you got it. Okay. Matthias, what did you get?
D. 95.
Sorry, was that C or D as in dog?
D.
D as in dog? Okay. Well, let's see. Well, in order to get a mean score of 80, guys, that means we need to find out what the sum of all his scores would be. Because remember, the mean is the sum of all these scores divided by the number of tests that he took. So if we're trying to find out, well, to get a mean of 80 on 4 tests, you would have to have a total of a certain number of marks. And when you divide that by 4, you would get 80, right? And once you know what the total sum is, then you could just add up these three and subtract it from the sum to find out what is that fourth score. So in order to get a mean, if the mean of 4 tests is 80, then that means the sum of his scores, right? So the sum of his scores on 4 tests would have to be 80 times 4, which is 320. So in all, the total marks that he would have to make up would be 320. And now you could just find what's the difference between the marks that he got and just 320. So that would tell you how many marks he has to get or what score he has to get on the fourth test. So you'll have to do 320 take away the sum of 70 plus 75 plus 80 to see what is the what's the number of marks that he has to make up. So 320 take away 70 plus 75 plus 80 would be 95. Correct. Good job, Matthias. Safira, do you understand now?
Yeah, that's
Right? So whenever you have a question like this, guys, where they tell you, like they give you the value of or the raw scores of 3 items, for instance, like in this case, and they're telling you that you want to get a mean of a certain number in a fourth test, for example, you would have to find out the sum first of all, and then subtract the known values from the sum. That difference would give you the amount that you had to make up, right? So like if you know, and you could use this for yourself to actually figure out how much you would need to make to get a certain like a A or something in test. All right, so I'm gonna skip number 10 because you all didn't do this topic as yet either. I'm gonna go straight on to number 11. The net of the square-based pyramid is shown below. When the net above is folded, the solid formed will contain how many edges? How many edges are in a square-based pyramid?
Is it 8, miss?
8? Yeah, I think it is 8. Because you'll have the 4 at the base, and then you'll have 4 at the corners. Because a square-based pyramid would look something like, oh wait, what am I drawing? I was going to draw a cube. So if you have, this is the square base, and then square base pyramid would look like something like this. Yeah, like that. So you'll have the four edges at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, edges are the points at which, or lines, I should say, lines at which two faces meet. So you'll have this one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the back, 8 in the back. So a square base pyramid has 8 edges. What about vertices? How many vertices does it have? Anybody remembers what a vertex is? Plural
Like
vertices.
5 miss, 5 with C.
Yeah, 5 vertices. Yeah. Right? The vertices on the square base pyramid are these pointy parts, right? The points at which edges meet would be your vertex. Plural is vertices, so it has 5, 4 on the bottom and then 1 at the top. So I can think about it as the pointy parts of the shape. Um, okay. Calculate the area of the trapezium, guys. Now, there is a formula for the area of a trapezium, but if you do not know the formula, like if you were to forget the formula, you can, I think it's given to you in your list of formulae, but I don't know if you all get that as yet. The generally, the formula to find the area of a trapezium, right, is half times the sum of the parallel sides times the height of the trapezium. So in the event that you get the formula, you could just substitute your value. Yeah, you could just substitute the values into the formula, or you can use this fact that of trapezium, well, this one in particular, is made up of 2 triangles and 1 rectangle. And it's 2 identical triangles in this one, where the base of the triangle here would be 2 centimeters, and the height is 4 centimeters, right? And then with the rectangle, the length is 6 centimeters and the width is 4 centimeters. So either if you know the formula or if it's given to you, you can substitute your values directly into the formula. But if you are not sure, you can split this shape up into 2 triangles and 1 rectangle and find the area of each triangle and the rectangle and add them up together, and you're gonna get the same answer. I'm going to do both methods, right? So if I use the formula, well, this would be a half by the sum of the parallel sides. The parallel sides in the trapezium are 6 and 10. So it will be half of 6 plus 10 multiplied by the height, which is 4. So that would be 6 plus 10 is 16. Half of 16 is 8, and 8 times 4 is 32. So this will be 32 square centimeters, right? Now, if I were to use instead the splitting up the shape into, let's say A, E, and C, right? Where the 2 identical triangles are A and C, and then the rectangle is B, I could find the area of each triangle and add it to the area of the rectangle. So area of A would be equal to the formula to find the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. So that would be base here is 2, the height is 4, divided by 2, which will give me 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 divided by 2 is 4, right? So the area of triangle will be 4 cm squared because these are identical triangles, right? So the area of A is 4 cm squared. The area of C is also 4 cm squared. And then the area of B, the rectangle, whose length is 6 centimeters and width is 4, this would be 6 times 4, which is 24. So where did I make a mistake? Because 24 plus 4 is 28, and that's not the answer. So let's see. 6 times 4, yeah. And then this is 4, and this is, oh, yeah. Don't know why I'm getting 24. I made a mistake with the second part, right? Because the answer is definitely
Miss, I
Yes,
think,
tell me.
Miss,
Show me.
it's because I have two triangles, not one. So I think you'd have
Right.
to
Oh,
add the
never mind. I
both
didn't make a
fours.
mistake. Correct, correct. I forgot to add the 4 and the 4. Correct. Thank you. So then I add them all up. Oh, thank you, babe. So area of the full trapezium will be A plus B plus C. I made a mistake. Well, not that I made a mistake. I left it out by accident, even though I've been saying all along to add them up, right? So the area of, I got confused because I didn't see this other 4 cm that I wrote here, big and bold, right? So it's this here, that's the area of C. 4 cm is the area of A as well because they're the identical triangles. And then this one is the area of the rectangle. Correct. So it would be area of A, which is 4, plus the area of B, which is 24, plus 4 again, which will give me 32 cm. Thank you, Faith. Thank you so much. So yes, guys, it doesn't matter which method you use, provided that you don't leave out anything like what I just did. But once you use the formula, or dividing the shape into smaller shapes that you already know how to find the area, you'll be fine. You're gonna get the same answer. All right. And Matthias is gonna do this question because he's doing volume right now. And Matthias, this volume you said you all are doing, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I get on 40.
Which one?
So I get on 40 and I get none of them. I do in 5 by 4 by 2.
Maybe they made a mistake with these solutions. So 5 times 4 is 20, and 20 times, yeah, it is 40. It should be 40, 40 cm cubed, because the volume of a rectangular box, which in this case is a cuboid, will be length times width times height. And that would be equal to 5 times 4 times 2 is 40, indeed. Perhaps there's a mistake with the solution. Just like, remember there was a one that had a mistake before as well. I'd have to go and fix this paper. I just took the questions directly from the paper itself, and it didn't even work out the answers or anything. So yeah, this one we had a mistake because the mean was like was a decimal, and all of the answers were whole numbers. And now here again, this one has a mistake. Okay, cool. Anybody?
So long.
Sorry?
So that's why it takes so long because I was looking at the
Oh, because they were
option.
trying to figure out
Yeah.
why. Yeah, okay. All right. Um, have you all done finding the area of a sector as yet? Anybody did that in school as yet? Finding the area of a sector or no?
I think I have done it, but I forgot because like that was like in Form 2, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna skip that one for a while, but I'll tell you to find the area of a circle is pi r squared, right? And to find the area of a sector, this is called a sector. Sector is piece of the of the circle, like a pie, like a slice, right? So to find the area, first of all, the area of a circle is given as pi r squared, right? That's how you find the area of an entire circle. Now, if you had to find the area of just a portion of the circle, or a fraction of the circle, because that's literally what a sector is. It's cutting off a piece of the circle um from at the point of the circle, at the center of the circle, though, not just a random piece. Because if you have a circle and you just cut off a piece like this, like you just cut off this piece here, that's not a sector. That is actually a segment, right? But if you slice the circle from the center using the radius, right? Using the radius like this would be a sector, right? So a sector is formed by two radii, whereas a segment is formed by a chord in the circle. A chord is any straight line in the circle that divides the circle into two segments. This would be what you call a minor segment, and this here, a bigger segment, a major segment, right? So that's the difference between a sector and a segment. So don't be confused with that, because the formula to find the area of a segment is not the same as the area of a sector. So anyway, there's a formula to find the area of a sector, because ideally what you're trying to do is you're trying to, well, essentially, I should say, essentially what you're doing is you're finding out what fraction of the entire circle does this sector represent, right? So in order to find out what fraction this sector represents, you put this angle in the middle there, and we're gonna call it theta, right? Over 360, because there are 360 degrees in the entire circle, and you multiply that by pi r squared. So this here is the formula to find the area of a sector. I'm only explaining it to you because it's pretty straightforward, right? So all you need to find the area of a sector is the radius and the angle that is formed by the radius in the two radii in the sector. So the angle of the sector and the radius. And then you just substitute your values into that formula, right? Because essentially, if you know the whole area of the circle and you want to find out what is piece of the area, because this is literally piece of the area, well, you would need to know what fraction of the entire circle that represents. So what fraction of the entire area does this represent? So the theta, in this case, theta is your angle of your sector. So this will be 120 over 360 times pi, and the question tells us to use pi as 22 over 7. So times 22 over 7 times radius squared. Now radius in this case is 21. So 21 squared will be 21 over 1 times 21 over 1. Because they gave it to us as a fraction, I'm writing out each thing like individually like that. So you could reduce. You could say 10 into this is 12, 10 into this is 36. What else can you reduce there? You could say 7 into 7 is 1, and 7 into 21 is 3. You could say 3 into 3 is 1, and 3 into 36 is 12. And then 12 into 12, 1, 12 into 12, 1. So the answer will be 22 times 21. So you check that on your calculator, 22 times 21. Now, the answer is 462 square meters. I should tell you that for multiple choice, for your multiple choice exam, you do not have your calculator. That's why all of these things can be worked out manually, right? I don't know if in your end of term test, if you're going to be allowed to use your calculator for your section for the multiple choice question, but in CXC, you cannot use your calculator for the multiple choice section. So all of these things can be worked out manually. The answer here is 462 meters squared. Right. Okay, good. This is on trigs. We did trigs, right, guys? Yes. Yes, we have done trigs. Safira, you and I were talking about that just now. In this triangle, tan of C would be equal to which of the ratios? Safira. think you should try this one.
Okay.
This triangle, which of the ratios represents tan of the angle C?
Um, 3/4. 3/4.
3 over 4. Flip it. 4 over 3.
4/3.
Because,
Oh, yeah, opposite of
yeah,
adjacent.
correct. Well, AC is your hypotenuse. If C is your angle of reference, 4 will be your opposite side, and 3 is your adjacent. So tan of your angle C would be opposite over adjacent, which in this case, opposite is 4 and adjacent is 3. So the answer will be C. Okay. You all remember Pythagoras' theorem? Let me see. Josh, remember Pythagoras' theorem?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Can you work this one out for me? Notice that they don't have you don't have to work it out exactly. You just have to choose which answer it would be. Third form.
Oh, I so I just got it between. So I got figure out. I just trying to remember. I got figure out the hypotenuse and the.
Okay, yeah, sure, no problems. Pythagoras' theorem tells us that the square of the hypotenuse, so in this case, AC squared is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. So AC squared will be equal to AB squared plus BC squared. And we want to find out what is the height of AB. Okay? So if you want to find out what's the height of AB, you'll have to make AB squared the subject. So if AC squared is equal to AB squared plus BC squared, then AB squared will be AC squared minus BC squared, right? And if AB squared is equal to AC squared minus BC squared, then AB by itself will be the square root of AC squared minus BC squared. So now you just match those, right? So it will be the square of the hypotenuse, take away the square of the other side. So it'll actually be C.
Oh,
All right. I don't think you all have done this as yet, so we're gonna skip that for the while. Well, this is a mapping diagram that represents a relation. It's also called an arrow diagram, right? Now, each value of x maps onto a value in y, right? So 1 is mapped onto 2, 3 is mapped onto 10, 5 is mapped onto 26, and 7 is mapped onto some other number. There's a relationship that is being expressed here. There's some kind of relationship between x and y, meaning like um, it's x plus something or x times something to give you y, right? Can anybody figure out what the relationship is there between x and y? Take a look and tell me. Anybody figure it out yet? Yeah? What the relationship might be between x and y? You do something to x to get y.
Yes. I think we are multiplying the numbers by themselves and just adding them.
That's correct. That's correct. So you are multiplying the numbers by themselves and adding one. So the relationship, if I were to explain it, if I were to write it, sorry, in the form of a equation, I would say y is equal to x squared plus 1. And let me show you. Well, when x is 1, y is 2 because 1 squared plus 1 is 2. When x is 3, y would be 3 squared plus 1, which is 10. When x is 5, y was 5 squared plus 1, which is 26. So then, when x is 7, y would be
Miss 50.
50 is correct. See. Guys, let's take a short break. Y'all been going at it. Wait, no, actually, let's just do this last question, these last two questions, and then we'll take a short break. All right. Given that A is equal to odd numbers from 1 to 10 and B is prime numbers from 1 to 10. Y'all, by the way, sets, you always have to know about sets. It's going to come back and haunt you every single time, right? So dust off the cobweb in your brain and try to recall what you have learned about sets, right? So if A are the odd numbers from 1 to 10, that means the set A would include 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, right? Those are the odd numbers from 1 to 10. And if B are the prime numbers from 1 to 10, then the elements of B would be 2, 3, 5, and 7. So the question is asking you, what is AUB? Anybody knows what this means? This U symbol. Anybody recalls what that might mean?
Miss Union.
Is union. What does a union tell us? What does it mean literally?
All the numbers outside.
Not outside. So A union B is anybody knows? A union. When y'all think about the word union, what does that remind you? What does that mean? The word union.
Together.
Together, right? So literally, A union B is all the elements that's in both A or B together, right? So that would include all of the odd numbers from 1 to 10, as well as all the prime numbers from 1 to 10, without repeating them, right? Because as you can tell, the odd numbers and prime numbers, some of them have similar elements, right? Some of them have um, common elements. So the answer will be 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9. So A is your set, I'm just writing it out. A is your set 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. And B, which are the prime numbers from 1 to 10, would be 2, 3, 5, and 7. By the way, 1 is not a prime number. A prime number is a number that has two factors, one and itself. One only has one factor, just one. So if I were to represent, so if I were to list A union B, sorry, I would just list all the elements in A and then all the elements that I left out that are in B. So this would be 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And the only thing that's missing in B, because B has 3, 5, and 7, it also has 2. Well, it's customary to, not customary, conventional to write it in a numerical order, but you really don't need to once you include all the elements. And on a Venn diagram, right? If you're drawing a Venn diagram, A and B, okay, what will go in the intersection will be the elements that are common to both of them. So that would be 3, 5, and 7. Because 3, 5, and 7 are both odd and prime. What would go in A would just be 2 because that is not 2, sorry. A is the odd numbers. So what will go in A is 1 And then what will go in B is 2. So that's, there's another one in A. I forgot 9. That's how it would look on a Venn diagram. So that's just something to refresh your memory. This part in the middle, right, that intersection is literally called the intersection of A and B, and it's written as the inverted union or upside down U. A intersects B will be the elements that are in both A and B. So 3, 5, and 7, since they are both odd and prime. And then the last question here, in this diagram, what does the unshaded region represent? Well, what is shaded here is everything that is in P and Q. So that, would this be the intersection or the union that is shaded?
The intersection.
The intersection is literally the intersection of the two sets. So the intersection would have just been the middle here. Anybody else? What is shaded?
Miss Union.
It's the union, right? So P union Q is everything that is shaded here. But they want us to we want to know what is the unshaded, what represents the unshaded region. So what is represented by the unshaded region is everything that is not in the union of P and Q. And we use this symbol over here. It's called the complement to represent that. So this literally means what is not in the union of P and Q, right? And it is called the formal word, the formal phrase is the complement of P and Q, right? So the complement of P union Q. All right, guys, let's take a short break. 5:40. Let's start back at 5:50. Right, yeah. So question 1 of every single CXC paper has to do with computation, with fractions, decimals, percents, things like that. Okay? So you can do this directly on your calculator. Like you could type 6 and 1/6 minus 1 and 3/4 directly on your calculator and get the answer. Or you could work it out manually. And I am going to show you manually because in the event that something happens to your calculator, you want to make sure you could solve it, right? So for me, whenever I'm working out the questions like this with mixed numbers, I prefer to change them to improper fractions and then subtract. So I'll change 6 and 1/6 to an improper fraction. 6/6 is 36 plus 1, which will be 37 over 6. Take away 1 and 3/4. 1 by 4 is 4 plus 3, which is 7 over 4. And now, of course, you can only subtract fractions that have the same denominator. So my common denominator here would be the LCM of 6 and 4, which is 12. Okay? So 6 could go into 12 2 times, and 37 times 2, 7 2s are 14, 3 2s are 6 plus 1, which is 7. 4 into 12 is 3, and 7 3s are 21. So then 74 take away 21 would be 4 take away 1 is 3, 7 take away 2 is 5, 53 over 12. And the question says to express your answer as a mixed number. So 12 could go into 53 4 times, because 4 12s are 48. So 48 remainder, 49, 50, 51, 53. So that's 5. 4 and 5 over 12 would be your answer. Now you could have checked it. You could have done it like however you're comfortable with working with mixed numbers. So you could have done 6 take away 1, which will give you 5, and then 1/6 take away 3/4. 1/6 cannot take away 3/4, so you'd borrow 1 from the 5. However you want to do this question, you're free to do it, right? But you must know, even if you're going to use your calculator, you must know how to do this question manually, right? To convert 3/8 to a percent, everybody knows what is 3/8 as a percent? It's a popular percentage. Everybody knows what 1/8 as a percent is? Nobody? Okay, well, to convert 3/8 to a percent, you'll say 3/8 times 100 over 1. That would give you 37.5. I mean, you could reduce here. 4 into 8 is 2. 4 into 100 is 50. Oh gosh, not 50. 25. I meant to say 25. 3 times 25 is 75. So 75 over 2 is 37.5 or 37.5%. Right. Faith, do you remember what significant figures are? Where is Faith? Okay. Um, Josh, do you remember what significant figures are?
Yes, please.
So which digit here is the second significant figure? 7.185.
The one that is significant, it will
Second
be
significant figure.
718.5.
The second significant figure in this number, 7.185, would be 1, right? This is your second significant figure. A significant figure, you start counting significant figures from the first non-zero digit in the number. So in this number, 7.185, the first non-zero digit here is 7. So this would be your first significant figure. Once you've identified your first significant figure, then everyone after would be like the second, third, fourth, like that consecutively. So your second significant figure here is 1. The third one will be 8. And the fourth one is 5. So if I have to round off to the second significant figure, I am rounding off to this place value here, which is the same as rounding off to the nearest tenth. And as customary, when you are rounding off, let's say if you're rounding off to the nearest tenth, you would have to look at the digits in the hundredth place. And because this is 5 or more, you add 1 to the tenth place. So this would give you 7.2 rounded off to 2 significant figures, right? So the first thing when you're trying to approximate to significant figures is being able to correctly identify which digit is in this case, second significant figure place. The one that is in the second significant place here is 1. So you look at the digit that comes right after it. So that would be the one, in this case, is the one in the hundredth place, which is 8. If that number is 5 or more, you add 1 to the significant figure. So you'll add 1 to 1, which makes it 2. So the full answer will be 7.2 to 2 significant figures. I think I need to make like a short video on this and keep it handy because it's something that students forget. All right, simplify the following expressions. Anybody want to try A part 1 for me to simplify 6m minus 2p minus 3m plus 4p? It's only 1 mark, so that should tell you that it's not very difficult.
Can I try?
Yeah, of course. Tell me when you got it, okay? Got it as yet, Soraya?
It's 3m plus 2p.
Yeah, 3m plus 2p is correct. So you group your like terms. So this would be 6m minus 3m minus 2p plus 4p. And 6m minus 3m is 3m. Minus 2p plus 4p is plus 2p. Minus 2p plus 4p is the same as saying 4p minus 2p. One thing that you have to be very careful with is when you're rearranging an expression or equation, in this case it's an expression, make sure that when you're moving the terms, you move with the term that is in front of you move with the sign, sorry, that is in front of the term. So this is minus 3m. So if I'm moving 3m to any other part of the expression, it has to be minus 3m. The only time that sign would change is if it was an equation and I'm moving it from one side of the equation to the other side of the equation. So only if I was transposing, then I would change the sign. But if I'm just rearranging the expression itself, you have to move with the sign of the term. All right. And then the following, this one. So for this, you see the brackets. Brackets mean multiply. So you'll have to distribute 3x throughout the inside the brackets, right? So you'll use the distributive law. So you'll say 3x times 5x, which gives me 15x squared. 3 times 5 is 15, and x by x is x squared. And then 3x times minus 5 will give me minus 15x minus 4x squared on the outside. So now you substitute your like terms, not substitute, sorry, you group your like terms. So that'll be 15x squared take away 4x squared, which will be 11x squared minus 15x. And this can simplify now by factorizing. So you can simplify 11x squared minus 15x by taking out the common factor. The common factor here is, so this would be x into, well, x into 11x squared is 11x, and x into minus 15x would be 3. That would be your final answer. Right? Now, if we had to factorize this 30 plus 24p, you would have to use the what is common between 30 and 24p. So there is no other term in p, so we know that p is not a part of the common factor. However, 30 and 24 have a common factor. They have several common factors actually. 2, 3, what else? 2, 3, 6. So those are 3 different common factors and even 1, right? But when you are factorizing, you want to use the highest common factor. So what's the biggest number that could go into 30 and 24? That number is 6. 6 could go into 30 5 times, and 6 could go into 24p 4p times. So that answer will be 6 by 5 plus 4p. That is the factorization. We haven't done quadratics as yet. None of you have done quadratics as yet, so we're going to leave that out. And I'm going to just, I know everybody's tired, so we're just going to do this last question, question 4, and that would be it. Right? So everybody read the question. I'll give you, Matthias, you should be able to do this one because this is about volume. Just gonna do this last one, guys, and that would be it. There was only like a few more questions. One is on simultaneous equations, and simple interest, but don't worry about it. We'll do that another time. I could just tell that everybody is so tired at this point. So let's just do just one last question, question 4, and that would be it for today. Right, cuboid shaped boxes will be loaded onto a shipping container The shipping container is in the shape of a rectangular cuboid. The edges of each box measure 2.5 meters by 1 meter by 1 meter. That's the tiny box here. And the dimensions of the shipping container are 5 meters by 2 meters by 3 meters as shown below. So the first question, what is the volume in cubic meters of a box? So Matthias, correct. Length times width times height, 2.5 by 1 by 1, which is 2.5 cubic meters. Be sure guys to put in your cubic meters, right? And you see they highlighted it just to let you know that you need that as part of your solution since volume is measured in cubic units. And then part B, determine the number of boxes that would completely fill the shipping container. So Matthias told us that he first found the volume of the shipping container itself, which would be 5 by 3 by 2, which is how much, Matthias?
30 meters cubic.
30 cubic meters. Yep. And then what was the next step?
I divide 30 by 2.5.
That's right. So to find out the number of boxes that will occupy the container, you'll say 30 divided by 2.5, which is how much again?
12.
12. So you'll have 12 boxes. Right. And now they want us to convert the volume of a box from cubic meters to cubic centimeters. So the volume of a box is 2.5. Volume of the box is 2.5 cubic meters. Now there are two ways to do it, right? You could actually just you can multiply this by 100,000 because actually 1 meter is 100,000 cubic meters. 1 meter cube, sorry, is 100,000 cubic meters. Or you can, which I prefer to do always because I never remember conversion from meters to cubic, from cubic meters to cubic centimeters. So if you're like me and that gives you trouble, what you can do is you can change these to centimeters first. You could change the dimensions of the box to centimeters and then just multiply that out, right? So I'll show you get the same answer for both of them. So if you're just gonna change the units, it'll be, well, 2.5 meters, there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. So 2.5 times 100 is 250 cm cube. I mean cm, sorry. And then 1 meter is 100 cm. Well, two of the dimensions are 1 meter by 1 meter. So you multiply 250 by 100 by 100, right? Now, also, what you can do is if you're changing cubic meters to cm cube, right? Well, remember, 1 cubic, 1 meter is actually 100 cm. So 1 cubic meter is 100 cubed, cm cubed, right? 100 cubed would be 100 times 100 times 100. All right, so 100 to the power of 3. 100 to the power of 3 is 100 times 100 times 100. That gives you 100 cubed is 1 million. So therefore, 1 cubic meter is 1 million cubic centimeters. So to change the volume of the box to cubic centimeters, you'll multiply 2.5 by 1 million. That would give you, well, when you multiply in by power of 10, you move the point, the number of places that there are zeros. So you'll have to move this point 6 places to the right, which will give you 2.5 million, 2,500,000. That's your answer. So 2,500,000 cm cubed. All right, so guys, changing the volume of the box from cubic meters to cubic centimeters is not simply multiplying the answer by 100. That's incorrect, right? 1 cubic meter is actually 100 cubed cubic centimeters. That is the conversion. So therefore, 1 cubic meter is 1,000,000 cubic centimeters. So to change cubic meters to cubic centimeters, you will multiply by 1,000,000 or 100 to the power of 3. Or the alternative is to change each of the dimensions of the box individually to centimeters and then just multiply them by each other. So 250 times 100 times 100. That will give you the answer as well. All right, guys, we're gonna stop here for today.